So this is the tutorial for the handle popups snippet from the UiPath marketplace. And the purpose of this snippet is to handle popups that you cannot handle normally in UiPath. So now I'm going to show an example of such a popup. Let's say you want UiPath to open this Excel file and click this popup. And I'm going to show that you cannot, UiPath is not able to click this popup using a normal click activity. So first we have to open the Excel file using Excel application scope. And then we use the click activity to try to click this popup. And then just for testing purpose, I'm going to set the timeout to 1 second. Then I'm going to run this sequence. The Excel application scope has successfully opened the Excel, but it is unable to click the popup. And even though the timeout here shows a timeout of 1 second, you can see that UiPath is not responding. And the reason is this popup is actually blocking the UiPath execution. So UiPath is just stuck until we manually click the OK button. So now if I click the OK button, UiPath is going to resume, and after 1 second, it's going to throw an exception because it can't find the popup anymore. So the way to solve this issue is we have to download this handle popup snippet. Link is in the description below. And once you downloaded the snippet, you'll see that you have 2 new files. The first is helper functions, and the second is handle popup in process main. So we have to go into this sequence. And here you can see a parallel process with 2 sequences. So I'm going to start with the right sequence. In this sequence, we have to put activities that might trigger a popup inside the try-catch block. So in our case, the activity that's going to trigger the popup is the Excel application scope that you saw just now. So we put that in the sequence here. And we don't want to put anything else. We just want to put the activity that causes the popup. So here we just put the Excel application scope. And now we can move on to the left sequence. This is where we handle the click activity. So you just have to follow the instruction here. So we open this popup. We open this workflow and edit the selector inside to match your popup. So we open the workflow. And there's going to be a click activity here. So what we do is we open the popup and then we edit the selector. And then we have to select the popup. Now we can go ahead and test the sequence. So the sequence has finished running. And as you saw, UiPath has successfully opened the Excel file and clicked the popup. So apart from the popup window I just showed, this snippet is also useful for handling similar popups, such as this update links window you get when opening Excel. And another example is this error window you get when UiPath runs a VBA code and the VBA code comes across an exception. So normally without this pop-up, if UiPath comes across this error while running, it is unable to continue. But with my snippet, you're able to make UiPath click the end button such that UiPath is able to continue running. So the last example is related to SAP. And this window is the window that appears when you click download an SAP. This is actually a window asking for your permission, and you're supposed to click allow. But in UiPath, it is unable to click the allow button because this pop-up acts similarly to the Excel pop-ups that I mentioned previously, such that it's going to block the UiPath execution. That's why we need to handle this pop-up using this snippet. And another example is this timeout window in SAP. And this timeout window in SAP, it actually appears randomly, especially if your process runs for a very long time. And it will seriously mess up your whole execution because UiPath is unable to click it normally. So you also have to use this snippet to deal with this kind of pop-up. So this is the main framework for my SAP process. And you can see that this whole framework is placed inside the handle pop-up snippet. And the reason I did this is because, as explained here, the right side of the snippet is where we put activities that might cause a pop-up. And the left side is where we handle the actual pop-up. So in this case, the whole process might cause this pop-up because this pop-up occurs randomly. And if I go to the left side of the snippet, you can see that I check whether the pop-up exists, and if the pop-up does exist, I click the OK button. And the logic to check whether the pop-up exists and the click action actually occurs in the while loop. And the reason being, this pop-up here occurs more than once.